Hi, welcome to my channel. We're in Cornwall for the week and we're staying at Sennen Cove, which is very close to Land's End, the very tip of Cornwall looking out to the Atlantic. I'm going to paint a coast path painting of Land's End with the Longships Lighthouse. So let's start with the sky. I'm using a big flat brush here and adding lots of water. And now some pigment. I'm going to go for, I started with some cobalt teal, but I've decided to swap to ultramarine blue to get that intense blue sky. I'm actually standing up to do this bit to get long sweeps of the pigment across the paper. I'm working on a half size sheet of watercolour paper. It's incredibly hot today, so the paint is drying very, very quickly on the paper, so I'm having to work quite quick to get the paint on before it dries. So some grey for the clouds, long sweeps across the paper. As ever with skies, I try not to fiddle too much, let the paint do its work. So I thought I'd share with you our trip down to the beach. It's a walk downhill, so good to bear in mind when you're carrying heavy things. So we're looking out to the bay there, and this is actually the coast path. So left is to Land's End, right is down to Sennen and the beach. So we're back on the sea now, and indigo is a great colour here. I'm being quite careful as to where I put the paint. I'm not going straight to the horizon because I'm gauging how much pigment and how much water there is on the brush. But as I get closer to the horizon, I'm going to very carefully try my best to keep to that loose pencil line of the horizon. It is possible to dry the sky and then tape the horizon and the paint over the top, but I quite like to carry on the painting in one go if possible. Sometimes towards the horizon line you get sort of quite a fuzzy impression anyway. So anyway, so we're down to the beach, well, heading to the beach, and here is that's the harbour, the lifeboat station. And we're walking along the seafront here. It takes probably from where we're staying maybe about 15-20 minutes to walk completely to the beach. So past the Surf Lodge cafe and onto the beach. The tide is not quite fully out, I think, and there are the lifeguards and the flags telling you where you can swim and surf and bodyboard. So here we go. Now we're going to work on the foreground of the painting, and I'm putting some lemon yellow on the brush here just to bring some colour into the foreground. I've masked out the flower heads and the grasses with some masking fluid. Now the headland I'm painting in a slightly pale greyish green to try and achieve some distance in the painting. Photographs tend to flatten a view sometimes because you don't get the tonal change as you go into the distance. So now I'm painting some darker green now, and I'm adding some brown in, some burnt sienna as well, just to darken it up as we come towards the foreground. Now lots of lively brush strokes down to keep that stemmy feeling to the plants in the foreground. You can quite carefree, you can paint over the masking fluid, you don't have to worry about avoiding any areas. So fill it all in, and now change the view because the flowers I'm focusing on are these lovely pink flowers. I'm not sure what they're called. I think I'm going to have to look them up. But I'm using permanent magenta here and dropping the paper's still wet, so this pigment is merging into the background. And I'm aiming for a loose impression of this rather than an accurate representation of each flower. So under some of the flowers there is quite a deep sepal in a dark purple. So this is what these marks are looking to emulate, and they will dry a lot paler when the paper dries. The pigment will spread out into the paper and dry lighter. So I've swapped to a rigger brush now to get some stemmy lines in. And now, right, we're going to work into the distance here and paint the rocks and the lighthouse. And obviously the lighthouse will stop or try to prevent ships crashing onto the rocks. I'm using a rigger brush. It's a very dark, almost black, well, it's a mixed black pigment. And here's the lighthouse now. And the rocks. There's a little tiny bit of masking fluid under that to indicate the waves breaking onto the rocks. And I've just tapped that with a tissue just to break up that very solid line of the lighthouse. But now I'm going to put a little shadow into the right side. So my favourite bit of the beach, I take my shoes off and have a walk along the beach as the tide's either fully out or just coming in, and paddle. I thought I'd share this bit with you here. It's so, it's so lovely. It's quite a long beach actually. I'm not quite sure the distance, but it takes a little while to get from one end to the other. But the sea literally is turquoise. It's such an amazing colour. And the sound here, I thought I'd have this show you the sound of the waves, which you can more or less hear all the time when you're in Sennen. It's just a continual rolling. If you like white noise in the background, it'll be perfect for you. Right, now back to the rocks again. So I'm using a grey-brown mixture. And now I'm adding some raw sienna to where the light's catching the rocks. It would be easy just to use a pale grey, but I wanted to add just a little bit of colour into this bit of rock here, as if the light's really catching it. And this area is going to be pretty much the focal point of the painting, and hopefully it will direct the eye to the lighthouse. So there's quite a bit of detail going in here. Obviously a fine brush, rigger brush here. And what I'm looking for is when I'm looking at the picture and the rocks, distant rocks, I am looking at the shadow areas and I'm only painting the shadows. So I'm trying to copy the shapes of the shadows. Sorry, the painting's jiggling a bit, my hand's catching the board. And now adding more pigment where I see the shadow areas. And to avoid any hard lines, then just blend with some water and then just carry on left. So that's just a snippet there to show you. And a little bit on the top with the rock sticking out. So now this is walking towards Land's End now. It might just be past Land's End, I can't quite remember. Yeah, it's past Land's End, sorry. Yeah, it's looking over here. I just want to share with you these stacks of rocks. You don't get the impression of the feeling of height here, but it's really truly quite spectacular. And the bird life is lovely. It's just really amazing. And the sea is literally this colour. No filters attached. So back to the painting now. I'm not being very precise here with this addition of the pink to the flowers. You can paint over the lines. It doesn't really matter. It's such a pale wash that you can go over the lines. And if you leave a little bit of white here and there, it will only give you the impression of light catching the petal or shining behind it. So not to be too worried about accuracy here. And obviously adding some depth here with some deep, this is Opera Rose I'm using here, the pink. Adding some more pigment to them to give shadows. And now I'm working again underneath. See how much paler that purple dried? It's now really blended into the background. So I'm now painting again over the top with a slightly browny purpley pigment to show the sepals of the flowers. And now we're continuing on walking away from Land's End. down into these little inlets and then back onto a headland again, and every time you hit a headland you get some really, really amazing views. So back into the painting again, and now I'm creating what I'd like loosely describe as chaos. I'm creating chaos in between the flowers to create a background really, and to make the flowers come forward. Now this bit of footage is going down to the apartment where we stay, and I just wanted to show the road because it always makes me laugh when the supermarket delivery van manages to get down and up. I think he usually reverses back up, very impressive. And the sunsets, this is one of the very many reasons we fell in love with this part of the country. The skies are big, the sunsets are big, they're quite spectacular actually. And this one coming up is, not this one, but the next one is actually one we took about 4 years ago, and it was just, the sky looked like it was on fire. I had to share it here just to show you. And this chap, every beach has got them, but I have lost my packed lunch to one recently, which was a bit annoying, but they're there. They ransack rucksacks. This is a juvenile, so yeah, he's quite interested in what was going on. So thanks for watching. There's more tuition coming soon, links in description. Thank you.